Good evening. Welcome to the Beaver Brook Rebuild and Revitalization Community Information Session. My name's Jeanette Leary, and tonight we're going to be going over introductions of the committee members. We're going to speak to a little bit about the playground background and history of itself, the timeline thus far of the project. We're going to highlight the steps so far that have been taken, and also answer any questions that may come from the audience. And if we are unable to answer questions this evening, we'll certainly get the answers for everyone. So I'd like to pass it off first to Kelly for your introduction.
So my name is Kelly Johnson, and I am the Recreation Coordinator and work at the DPW.
My name is Brooke Woodford. I reside in Abington. I have 3 little kids that are on preschool and 2 are in Beaver Brook. I was born and raised in Abington, and I'm really excited about getting this project underway.
My name's Kim Russell. I was born and raised here in Abington. I also have 3 young kids, the youngest going into 1st grade and the oldest going into 4th grade. And I helped build the original Beaver Brook Playground 30-something years ago, so this will be exciting to see some changes.
Hi, Steve Wakeland. I'm a member of the CPA, the Conservation Preservation Committee, which helped to fund the playground.
Rachel Collins. I'm the chair of Park and Rec.
Thank you. Okay. So a little bit about the Beaver Brook Playground for those of you that may not know. It was built in 1990 by many community members. It was a town-raised project, and the land is owned by the Memorial Field Trustees and the American Legion. Over the years, unfortunately, the upkeep of the playground has been the responsibility of many different departments in the town, and unfortunately, due to many lean years of budgetary cuts, it has fallen into great disrepair. Next, we're going to show some pictures of the playground and some of the situations that we are currently facing in regards to it. That is a very far away view, and then we will highlight on some of the other issues. As you can see, there are no swings. There are protruding nails, rotting wood. The slides are cracked. What swings are there are not able to be used or utilized by children. These at one time had bars to climb on, which are missing. The tires that were part of a obstacle course are embedded in what is the mulch that has been accumulating over the years. So these are just some of the unfortunate highlights that children face when they encounter the Beaver Brook Playground for a day of fun. So far, this project has taken many years, although this may be the first time people are hearing about it. It actually started back in 2019 when Brooke, myself, and Kim, in conversation, were talking about the need for the playground to be either totally renovated or rebuilt itself. The first meeting attended was on October 10th. We attended a CPA meeting and brought forth the project and answered questions from the CPA committee, which Steve was a part of at that time. The 16th, we went back to the CPA and then also answered questions from the Park and Rec. We attended a Park and Rec meeting and brought forth the same project and answered questions that the Park and Rec committee may have had. In December, we formally submitted a request for funding for the project with quotes from 3 different playground structure companies: Altiplay, Burke, and Game Time. In February of that year, the following year, 2020, the CPA committee approved $150,000 towards the project to be voted on at our next town meeting. The town meeting in June, the town meeting members approved on the recommendation of the Finance Committee the CPA grant of $150,000 put towards the project. October of 2020, we attended another CPA meeting and requested additional funding for the project. In November of that year, the CPA approved $125,000 towards the project to be again voted on at the next town meeting. In January of 2021, Kimberly, Brooke, and myself attended the selectmen meeting to update them on the project. On the selectmen's recommendation, the Beaver Brook Playground Committee was discussed, and it was decided that should be formed. The committee, it was decided, shall consist of the founding members and representatives from Park and Rec, DPW, a community member, and CPA. We also, during that time, obtained updated quotes, given that it was a new fiscal year, from Altiplay, Burke, and Game Time. In February of 2021, the Memorial Field trustees informed the committee that the trustees fully supported the building of a new playground on the existing site. Also in February of 2021, we updated the Conservation Committee in Abington on the project to date, and we were let know that a notice of intent will need to be filed due to the stream's location beyond the fence near the playground. That will be done closer to the project's actual start. In March of that year, the Beaver Brook Playground Committee first met. The new members, Kelly Johnson, Steve Wakeland, and Rachel Collins, all came to that first meeting, and John Stone from the DPW. In May of 2021, town meeting members approved, on the recommendation of the Finance Committee, that the CPA grant of $100,000 with a $25,000 contingency towards the project would move forward. June of 2021, a constant contact sent via the school committee, via the school department, alerting the community of the upcoming community information session was sent. Tentative timeline for the project: in the fall of 2021, the demolition of the existing playground will commence, and in the spring of 2022 is when the build and the completion of the project should occur. We also want to highlight some of our upcoming fundraising events. We will be selling children's Rebuild BBP, which stands for Rebuild Beaverbrook Playground, t-shirts in tie-dye green with the Abington A and the hashtag underneath. We will sell these around the community at different events, and also we will be setting up a Venmo so people can just order them. And also we have available, and there's a sample up back, opportunity to personalize bricks as we have at other town buildings. In front of the library is one good example, in that you can do 2 different sizes, a 4x8, which is $75, or an 8x8, which is $150. And these bricks will enhance and pave the walkway to the new playground. So at this time, we'd like to, if there are any questions from the audience, answer those questions. If you do have a question, we'd like you to step up to the mic and state your name and address.
Yeah, Amanda, 50 Pilgrim Street. I have a few questions. So what makes Beaverbrook wonderful is it was community built, which is great, but it's the shade.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 3 playgrounds, I think, in like all of Eastern Mass, I feel like have shade, especially come the summer. And looking at, you know, these particular composite drawings compared to what it is now, that looks very uncomfortable. And so I'm curious if, with these other like bigger playgrounds, like how are we going to incorporate that? Because people come from all over the South Shore to come to Beaverbrook just for the shade, just for the picnic area. I'd love to have that keep going, especially the stream or anything else, but I think really it's like the shade and not just like a 5x5 picnic area. Like Marshfield's Kids and Play is a great example. Beautiful playground. You can't touch it after May 31st until October because it's so hot and there's just 4 picnic tables. I'd love to see that. And then is there any thoughts on inclusive and accessible equipment? Including ramps, and then the ground material, same thing, the shade, heat, all that. And then also who's going to be responsible for the upkeep? It sounds like there's been confusion up to this point. Who's going to take going forward so we don't have this damage in 10 years, depending on what the material is?
Yep.
So that was a lot of questions.
That's okay.
Those are all questions that have been asked before, and they're exactly, we're
Yeah,
totally answer those.
Great questions. And actually, the drawings are facsimiles of what a playground could look like, as, you know, when we went out to vendors for quotes. The good news is we have met down at the site with both a tree representative that the town deals with and John Stone from DPW, and almost, I would say the majority of the trees will be staying.
Sweet.
The playground will be built around it. There will be some that both the playground person and the tree people have said that although this tree looks good, we want to remove this one because the roots in 5 years are going to ruin the surfacing.
Right.
But we were pleasantly surprised that I would say a majority will be staying. So not only will we have the shade canopies over certain pieces, but we'll also have a natural canopy of the trees. The second question was about the surface, ADA?
Yeah.
So it is, the playground will be ADA compliant, and it will have pieces that are specifically for physically challenged children, and also other pieces that are accessible either via ramps, small inclines. The surfacing itself will be a what they refer to as a solid surfacing, so there isn't going to be lips and divots. It will all be one easily accessible that a wheelchair, a child using crutches of that nature could easily maneuver around. And was that?
Upkeep.
Oh, and the upkeep, yes. Unfortunately, I don't want, and maybe if I'm misunderstanding your question, please correct me. I don't think there was confusion over the years of who was to care for the playground. I think unfortunately we, the townspeople, at town meeting voted to deplete funding for many, many departments. So I think what happened is it got passed along to whatever department was left. You know, at first it was Park and Rec was eliminated, then it went to this, and then they're eliminated. So over the years that has happened, but we have already, the plans of starting a group referred to as the Friends of Beaver Brook Playground that will be an entity that people come in and out of. I envision it throughout the years, depending on their interest, age of their children. I actually have 2 children. I've been in Abington for a few decades, and my children are, one's out of college, one's a college student. So, but I'm still involved in the community. So I think there are plenty of people to join this committee of the Friends of the Beaver Brook, and that's how we intend to upkeep the longevity of it. The good thing is the equipment itself is sustainable.
More than wood, for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions from the audience? She has one?
No, she said she asked her.
Oh,
you
you
asked the question.
Okay.
So I guess one of the things that I'd like to hear from folks that are here tonight is what types of structures would you like to see at the new playground? One of the things that I find so unique, you don't see certain climbing structures, certain ways of maneuvering things, using creative play, using, full motor play. There's so many different things. So I'd be curious, if you guys showed up tonight, which we're so thankful for, to get the information, help spread information, but I'd love to know, what do you want to see? What sorts of things, and I hate to ask, but if you could go to the mic and then just state your name away, and what types of things you envision and how we can help incorporate those visions.
Sure. I'm Caitlin Carroll, 9 Orchard Lane. So one thing I love about Beaverbrook compared to every other playground on the South Shore, my kids are 3 and 4, so we go to playgrounds all the time. But Beaverbrook is the only playground that my kids will stay for hours because they end up using their imagination. They make the most friends there because I feel like there's places to hide. They play hide and go seek. They end up being superheroes. It's not just like swinging, seesawing, and doing like the basics at like a lot of the newer playgrounds. So I was really hoping that would still be there, like just the uniqueness, I guess, of the tunnels, the structures where they can climb, hide, and just kind of like use their imagination a little bit more than just your basic slides and swings. Is what I was hoping for.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Would anyone else like to give us some feedback? Yeah, please. I know, I'm sorry. But that way everybody at home can also hear, because I'm sure a lot of people have the same questions. Yeah.
My name is Josh Bellis. I live at 112 Everett Street, and we have our 6 and almost 8-year-old that kind of the same thing as you were saying, the uniqueness of it. I know you guys have proposals and things like that, and I know this has been in the works for a long time. One of the things when we first moved into, not when we first moved in, but when they were first old enough to go and play, we saw the nails, protruding nails and things like that. And my mind was kind of brought toward, my brother lives in Naples, Florida. Right? A little bit different of an environment than we have, but they have a very similar playground to that, but it's all mainly composite. It can get hot in the sun, but they do a lot of canopies and things like that. And I'm glad that you guys were concerned with the shade. That's a huge piece for us, but didn't know if there was any thought on somewhat of a similar type structure, just made out of a sustainable material that lasts longer. Same thing, they love to run around and explore. This is nice, I like that. It reminds me of Braintree a little bit, but if we can have something unique that draws people, it would be awesome. The place in Marshfield is kind of more along the lines of what we have now, right?
Sort of, yeah.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much.
So yeah, the tunnels, the platform that's there. Like it would have, like you said, like a composite castle to reminisce of this was Beaverbrook, and then some newer stuff. But I think having the same thing, that I have a 5-year-old and we bring our sons, and there's that imagination, the old school 90s, this is how we used to play. Like, I don't know, it sounds so old, but that's kind of what we want. Like, you want to keep that reminiscence. So just not fully open yet. So you're just like, okay, I was on the swings, what do I do now? I'm gonna go walk, I'm gonna go to the tennis courts, because now I can do whatever I want. You know, like, how do we keep them in the playground? So.
Thank you. I can, and for those of you that have younger children, just so we can, I hope, envision what you're saying, I was part of the new school building committee and actually was involved in building the preschool playground that's at the current preschool program located at the Abington High School in middle school. And, you know, so they do have like a little treehouse fort type thing. Is that like what you're referring to, like when you say structures?
Yeah, or like the Marshfield one has, am I close enough? Like, can I just, I just talk like really loud?
Just lean.
Like the Marshfield one has, if you've seen it, like it's like stores. So you can hide under it, and it's one of those, it also, like, if you're a helicopter parent, it breaks you off that a little bit as your child gets older, because they, like Beaverbrook, they can kind of hide and run around and check in with you. So, you know, they don't feel like they're exposed as they get older. I mean, a 2-year-old probably should keep an eye on. 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, like, they want to be able to play and not just have everybody see them. And so where they can duck, and if they, play store, play princess, play whatever it's fun. You know, it gives them that.
Awesome.
I'm sorry, which is the Marshfield name? I'm gonna look it up as we.
The Marshfield Kids and Play, it's at the, it's like the 139, like there's like the.
Town Common. Like
the Stack Tie Coffee, the library's right there.
Kids and Play, okay, I got it now.
It's a great place, just as an example. Heart Stuff has, you know, like little, but they have like a story time, the same thing, it's like stuff that they can kind of play with.
Yeah, I can buy it.
Okay. That's great, thank you, because we can certainly look
It's
at
nice.
it. And
I've never
again,
gone on
these,
it, but-
when you go out to bid for proposals, it's a facsimile of what this possibly could look like, given our landscape and the square footage of the, that we're utilizing. And the thing is, we will be utilizing the exact same square footage, so it won't be smaller. It will be, which we may pause because there's going to be a train coming through, is that we will be pulling it off of the fence in the water to enhance the safety of it. So that will be, you know, probably like we're envisioning, you know, a 15 feet pathway almost between the end of the playground now, but it will be, and there'll just be a little bit more on the other side, but the same expansive playground.
And we did kind of tour some different playgrounds in the area, and Marshfield was one of the ones that we really liked. In the general store, I have it right here, the little picture of the general store that we liked. So we're on the same page there. Cool.
Sure.
My name is Christina McSherry. I live at 29 Spruce Street. And I agree with everybody here about, getting lost in that like world of play and not being exposed as you get older as a child. But I also just love how natural the environment is there. The trees, so I'm hoping whatever the playground structures look like, maybe they can help mimic like nature, have things that look like rocks, or like the colors that are used are like natural colors, greens and browns, even though we're not going to do wood again, for sustainability. That's one of my favorite things about that area as well, is just how wonderful it looks there, and it's just so peaceful. And I have he'll be 4 in October, and an infant, and it's just so, we feel so peaceful being there. And I think it's really important, because other playgrounds, although fun, can be really overwhelming with like color, and it's just about the seesaw here, the swing there, and I think it just would really enhance how the kids get lost in that world of natural play. So hopefully there's something.
And I think the ability for us to keep almost the majority of the trees will also help keep that feel of being in a very natural setting. So we're very happy about that.
Good, me too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Since I'm up here, I feel I should say something.
By all means.
Please do.
But the peacefulness and the shade, key, and we were very happy to hear that not all the trees are coming down, so that it's gonna feel, I think, exactly the way the one now does, except it's gonna have some great equipment. And if you look at the picture, it seems kind of spread out.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's going to be that spread out, but if it's going to fit in the footprint of the current one, I think it's going to work out just perfect. Plus, the whole maintenance has been a problem, as we know, for 30 years. And people did try to maintain it. We had Eagle Scouts come and do little pieces, year after year, so forth, and the different groups in town. But this one here should last us, quite a while before we even have hopefully do anything to it. Other than I'm not sure if the stone or the wood chips or the surfacing will have to be done every so often. But I think, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn here, but the fundraising that's being done is going to help to create a pot so that type of stuff can be done.
And also the other things that we are planning for the site is things that aren't in facsimiles, nice trash bins and recycle bins, and a place to have lunch with your children, and landscaping. So other pieces, as opposed to just picking up and lifting out the current Beaver Brook Playground and putting down a new one. So our envision is to help have a whole area that a family can come to, and not just the playground. Because you can have a child that goes to the playground and may not want to play, but can be in the picnic area and read a book. So we want to have an environment that encompasses all of children's needs, and not just their gross motor, that a lot of children need. Do we have any other questions, or is there anything? We do have some flyers about the fundraising coming up, and also if people are interested, on the front table there are the 3 different proposals from the 3 different companies that we went out to, and that will be decided as it gets closer as to who the town picks to be the vendor that actually builds this playground eventually. Sure.
Hi, I'm Rick Collins with Abington News. And this is more a couple process and technical questions more than anything. What are the next steps? Is a design finalized? Is that something you're going to be working on with a contractor? Do you have to pick the contractor first? What's the next step over the next 6 months to a year for the committee?
Yep. So the design isn't set. So again, the proposals that came in were facsimile. We went with what age range do we want to supply an environment for. So that is where the equipment comes from. So it will be working with who is chosen, like I said, who is not, and we're not the people that chooses, you know, this is a town's project. It will be in the fall, the demolition of the existing playground will happen.
This fall, I'm sorry?
Yes, yep. With the intent, the plan is for the build to be completed by spring of '22. So we figured the children can enjoy what's there for this summer, and in the fall that it will start to come down, and then over the winter, and then in the tree work will also need to be done. So what they refer to as site work first, and then spring of 2022 would be when the build actually begins. So there also is fundraising. Kelly, what else am I missing? Am I missing steps?
No, I think that is about it. It will take, so the company, whatever company, will hopefully be taking down most of the current playground. But there is a lot of site work that will need to be done, especially coming out of winter. You know, the trees will need to come down. It's going to have to be resurfaced, re-leveled. So that kind of stuff will take a little bit, and I think best done leaving an empty space over the winter. And then nowadays, playgrounds go up pretty quickly. So I think that once the actual project begins and they have all materials and the site itself is ready to go, I think the actual structure itself will go up relatively quickly.
It only takes a couple days for the structures to go up. If anyone has seen the playground over at Woodsdale, it's actually, we were hoping to have it done over the summer, so when school started, but because of COVID, everything got way delayed. And school had started, and I think within like the first 2 weeks, everything was complete and the kids were playing on it. Like it's these, the folks that do the playgrounds, and some of them are fairly local and do a lot of the local playgrounds with some of the bids. It's within a week, you'll have a full structure, even on a fairly large playground. It is miraculous to watch, and I hope we can have a time lapse of it going out because it's way faster than you think it'd be.
So you'll probably have a final plan this fall for a structure?
Yes.
Okay. Is there going to be an opportunity for further public input, or is this kind of it? Or is there going to be an unveiling in the fall, or?
I think we are going to go with what the community asks of us. We are certainly going to be continuing to put out the information via Facebook, Constant Contact, and also through anyone that asks us questions and wants answers. We're happy to, you know, do individual. We also have a Beaver Brook Playground Gmail account to answer questions of. Right now, there isn't an intent to have another community forum unless the need arises.
Okay. And did I hear you say that the land actually isn't owned by the town, it's held by a private trust?
Memorial Field Trustees, which the American Legion, right? You know, the
So
building.
the town doesn't own it, it's privately owned?
That is correct. That's what I believe, yes.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
I could be mistaken, but I believe
Yeah,
it to be
it's-
true.
It's a strange
Arrangement.
It's a strange arrangement where I don't want to give like false information, but it's, I don't know if Kelly can help, it's like.
Yes. So that specific land is kind of co-owned, if you will. So it's both town land and with the Legion. So it's, the town maintains it, but you know, the Legion has
It was like a
input
100-year
and
lease on the land or
Yeah,
something for $1, like
it is
however many
it's a
years
tough
ago.
situation,
Yeah.
but I would say the best way to put it is kind of co-owned, and the town collaborates with the Legion on what goes on there, and it's always a joint effort, which as of right now, everybody's always happy with the outcome of.
Did you have another question?
Question?
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Melissa Pond, 26 Coleman Street. My question is if you have a step in the process to run it by ADA experts. My recommendation is to run it by the Institute for Human-Centered Design, which is the ADA experts for the New England region.
Thank you. I think we have been emailing?
Yes.
And the vendors we have been speaking to all have also given us a lot of the information about ADA, and that anything that they themselves, they are mandated, any playground that they put in needs to be ADA accessible, and they have provided us with a lot of information and guidance on what, you know, they feel that would be, you know, good to be in an area for this age or not good. So, but we welcome any of the information you can provide us. That'd be great.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
guys mentioned the age range. I don't know if you want me to step back, but I'm just curious, you mentioned the age range.
Age ranges, so for example, like a younger area for their, the 2 to 5 year olds, and then, as you say, the older kids want to have their own space. Not that a 5-year-old or even a 7-year-old isn't going to go where, that younger area, but just to have areas that are developmentally appropriate for certain age ranges, and that children feel safer with children more in that same age range.
Gotcha, thank you.
You're welcome.
I feel the need to talk again. This may be the first step of a lot of things happening down at Memorial Field. CPA has had another group come to us wanting to do a full redesign of the fields and what's happening down there now. So, we've talked about the playground moving over 10 feet from the water, which would put you a little further out, which could interfere with, a home run coming from the major league field. Things like that will be looked into. But this is a great first step. I mean, I guess the first step was maybe the tennis courts being taken down. And this would be the second step.
Yeah. And there is talk what to do about the tennis courts also to me. I mean, because if anyone's been down there lately, they're not very attractive, shall we say. So to utilize that in a better manner also. Any other questions? All right, well, if there's no other questions, we want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. And we encourage further questions, and please keep asking. And the email is, Brooke?
The email is beaverbrookplayground@gmail.com.
So beaverbrookplayground@gmail.com if you have any questions you would like answered and you weren't able to attend tonight. There's also flyers at the back door. Feel free to grab them, and we look forward to seeing you at many more events that help get this off the ground and running. We appreciate your commitment to the community. Thank you.